Good afternoon. Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show that brings Ponchatoula to all our citizens. Just have a special guest. Parker's out of town today. I'm the special guest host. My name's Mark Verbois. Most of y'all know me. I've been here a few times to host the show and as a guest myself. But I have a special guest today that many years ago, Parker and I coached and refereed for Ponchatoula Youth Basketball. And at the time, he was probably 8-10 years old. And he's grown up to a wonderful man and who now is the coach for the Ponchatoula Junior High School boys basketball team, who is now the back-to-back parish champions. At this time, we're going to welcome today's guest, Coach Danny Dunn. Coach Dunn, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank y'all for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited for you to be here. I guess we'll lead off with the obvious stuff. So you currently have been the coach for the boys Ponchatoula Junior High School boys basketball team, coming off another parish championship. Tell us about the championship, your role as head coach, your staff. Tell us about the guys. Give us a little insight.
All right. Well, like you said, we just came off back-to-back parish championship victories. Last year we were 12-2. We had a lot of short games because of COVID. And this year we actually went 20-0, went undefeated, which was first time in our school history for boys basketball. Great group of boys last year, and same thing this year. All of them hardworking kids. They bought into the system. I start from the get-go. Just we all play as a team. We're a brotherhood. We're not doing the whole. We're out here shooting threes like Steph Curry. We're not doing iso ball and. We're very defensive minded first. I stress that on them all the time, and they bought into it. And I think that's the key to it. And I think that's the reason why they've had so much success over the past 2 years. Coming from the first game all the way to the championship, they gradually got better and better and better. Every once in a while you get like one bad game, but it's not like it was a drastic drop off. I couldn't be more proud of the boys. They came a long way both years from, October all the way to February. I couldn't be more proud of them. And my coaching staff, they're great. Coach Michael, he's my assistant coach. He helps me out with a lot of coaching because he coaches Southeastern for football, and he's won, a few conference titles there, and he knows a lot about, just the coaching part of it. He helps me out a lot. He says he doesn't, but he does. He helps me, and I appreciate him. And then Coach Edwards, who was the head coach when I first got here, and I was his assistant coach, and he helped me out with a lot. I thought I was pretty good with X's and O's, and he just showed me so much about the, all the stuff you have to do as a head coach, scheduling, taking care of uniforms, fundraising, things like that. And I was sad to hear whenever he, got a better job, better career. I was happy for him, but I was like, man, I wish you were still coaching.
Right.
And he said, I'll come help coach if you want me to. I said, yes, sir. Absolutely. Please. And he has helped me a lot the past 2 years because he comes to the games and he takes my stats. And, at halftime, he lets me know, hey, this guy's got a lot of rebounds. And, I didn't know. So I was like, okay, well, we need to get him to play in the second half a lot more. Keeps up with the timeouts and, things like that. So it's a lot. I can't appreciate Coach Michael and Coach Edwards enough and thank them enough for what they do for me because they help me out a whole lot, and they're a big part to the success for the boys.
Right. Well, so this year I was involved with the high school boys basketball team and was able to see a lot of your games. And of course, I got a little background in basketball myself. I was very impressed, and a lot of us were, in the teamwork, the maturity for 7th and 8th grade boys. They played like they were much older. And we were lucky enough to get the products of your coaching as our freshman team. And obviously the things that you've instilled and the rest of the coaching staff instilled about the respect, the drive, the techniques, all that transfer with those guys. And it's, as a former player from PHS back in the 90s, it's great to see Ponchatoula now starting to get more of a program where we're taking the seeds that are planting as young as 5 and 6, 7 years old that are now coming to fruition as they go through the system and getting fed into our high schools. And as a coach staff for the Ponchatoula boys basketball team, we've been very impressed with what you and Coach Michael and Coach Edwards and the rest of the crew there have done. the last game I saw y'all play was the Paris Championship. Last play, you ran, shot goes in seconds and wins the game. Tell us about the game itself. What went down? What was your plan going into that last play? Tell us a little bit about it.
No problem. First thing though, I want to say is that's the overall goal for me. I love winning. Everybody knows I'm competitive. If you know me, I'm a sore loser at times, but I want to win. But the overall goal at the junior high, and I tell this to my players at the beginning of the year, I tell it to the parents at the beginning of the year, my overall goal is to make these boys ready for whatever high school, hopefully Ponchatoula High,
Right.
but I want them ready for high school. And one of the biggest compliments I can get is, hey coach, great job. You did a good job this year. That's great and all, and I appreciate that. But one of the best compliments I can get is from a high school coach saying, hey coach, I really appreciate, how you had the boys ready when they got to high school. They know what a charge is. They know how to box out. They know how to make that extra pass, things like that. Because, apparently, I guess a lot of coaches don't do that in junior high level. So It's my job to make sure that your job and Coach Taylor and Coach Thorne and everybody's job at the high school is a lot easier. Y'all can jump into straight to X's and O's and things like that. So, but the Paris Championship, Coach Billy and Champ Cooper came out with a good plan. They sat in a very, very soft 3-2 zone. When I say soft, I mean they just kind of back, and they were kind of just like, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us from the outside. And with the team I had this year, I felt confident with that. We had been shooting as the year went on. We gradually got better, shooting from the outside. The A-Meet game, the second half in the semifinal, we were knocking down outside shots left and right. Unfortunately, in the championship, we did not knock down those shots. We actually shot the worst that game. We shot 12%. Coach Edwards did the 12%. And I knew it was bad, but the next day when he sent me the stat sheet, my mouth dropped. I was like, 12%. But that made me even more proud of those boys, because a lot of times you have a bad night shooting, everyone, shoulders drop, the facial expressions, you can see attitude. I didn't see that once. They literally, I tell them all the time, next play mentality. It's a good play, good, next play. Bad play, suck it up, shake it off, next play. I saw that all game long. No attitude, no nothing. And at the end of the game, we were down by 7 with, just over a minute to go. And I was just like, we got to chip at it. We're not going to score. There's not a 7-point shot in basketball. We got to chip at it. We swung the ball, and Bragan hit a big 3. And then Isaiah Hall comes up with a big steal. And, we do that drill. He got a big steal. Joseph Kelly comes down, makes a quick layup. Fortunately, we fouled them, and they missed 2 free throws, and we get the ball. And as we're taking the ball out, inbounding, I called him in. And I'll be honest with you, we've never gone over that play. I drew up a play that I kind of remembered from high school. And I just thought, I said, I think these boys are mature enough to run this play. And I drew it up, and I gave him 3 options. And the first option wasn't there. He swung it back to our point guard, Joseph Kelly. And I told Kelly, I said, when he swings it back to you, if he swings it back to you, you're going to have 2 options. You're going to have that nice little, you're going to be able to drive, and you can shoot that nice little floater that he practices all the time in our shooting drill. He does it all the time. And I said, your second option is to kick it out to Drew Palmer for the 3-pointer. And if Joseph Kelly would have shot that floater, I wouldn't have gotten mad. If he would have made it, great. If he would have missed it, I wouldn't have been mad, because he makes that shot all the time. I'm fully comfortable with him shooting that shot. But I was so impressed that, he could have taken that tough floater right there. I knew he wanted to, but he kicked it out to a higher percentage shot. He knew who was out there. He knew Drew Palmer was there. And I had a lot of people, and I hate when people tell me this afterwards. They were like, well, how do you feel about a post player shooting a 3-pointer and making it? And I was like, well, y'all don't know my players. Like, I know Drew Palmer can make that shot. I watch it every time we have practice. We do a shooting drill, and I watch Drew Palmer make that shot from all around, that area. Not necessarily a 3-pointer, but I know he can knock down a shot. As long as his feet are set, as long as his hands are ready, and he catches the ball clean, that shot can go in. I know Drew Palmer can make that.
Correct.
And obviously Joseph Kelly knew that. And that's just another example of the matureness of our guys knowing the strengths of each of their teammates. And Joseph Kelly drove, and when he was driving, I was like, okay, here's that floater. And when he stopped, I said, he may pass it. And when he passed it, I said, no matter what happens, I'm happy with that decision. That just shows how mature he is as a point guard.
Right.
Perfect pass. And when I saw Drew catch it and he didn't bobble it, I said, there's a great chance this shot has, it's going in. It's a great chance.
Well,
And
it
when
was
he
an
shot it,
exciting game. Very exciting game.
it was. And I was so proud that the boys from our team and even Champ Cooper, I'm glad they got to play in an atmosphere like that where it was just loud the whole time, the band being there, huge student section. And I'm glad the boys got to experience that, and it paid off, all the hard work they had. Because I promise you, they're in the best shape. If they don't learn anything from me, it's definitely they will be in shape for when they get to y'all.
Right.
And so I was extremely proud of that whole team, and I'm glad
it was exciting to see when you talk about student section. It was exciting that you see former players too. Like I was on the other side of the court and could see Corey Jackson's and your old players cheering on and excited for the players that were on the court and the guys that were on that team. It was fun to watch. We got a couple comments coming in here. One of your fellow teachers and also coach at Ponchatoula Junior High, Miss Simone Ingram. So very proud of Coach Dunn and his boys.
Trying to be like her. She's back-to-back Paris championship too over in volleyball.
That's right. And then we also have one here from Mr. Jeremy Pelche, one of our mutual friends. And he says, Coach Dunn's an awesome coach and glad Ethan was a part of that championship year. And now Ethan actually, like I said, was part of our
He's over at the high school with y'all.
That's right.
Proud of Ethan.
So it's funny that you had brought the name up too, and we talked about the program, but Billy Gildner, I think both of us are friends and have a lot of respect. And like you, Billy has a wonderful presence about him in the community and how he carries himself in the team. And those, as him being part of Champ Cooper, and those that don't know that are outside our area, Champ Cooper is also a feeder school, our other feeder school for Ponchatoula High. So, like I said, as being part of the Ponchatoula High program, Billy and that crew over there, like I said, it's exciting to have you and Billy feed into our area and continue our, like I said, our quote unquote program that we're trying to do at Ponchatoula. And the reason why I bring Billy up, and it was kind of touching into it, I think it's a good transition. We talked about it before. Like I said, I knew you from years and years ago at Ponchatoula Youth Basketball, and that's one of our sort of our feeder programs that feed into the junior high and, of course, in the high school. But what I got out of Ponchatoula Youth Basketball was two of amazing people, your mom and dad, who I got to be friends with. And, of course, they are wonderful parents that have made you as the product of their work as parents is evident in what they've done. Tell us about your parents. Tell us about how amazing they are. I know, but let our viewers know.
Well, my mom and dad, mom's name is Paula. My dad's name is Pete. And they are great people, hardworking. They're very supportive and everything. If I, called them up tonight and said, hey, I want to drop out of being a teacher and a coach and try to join a rock band or something, they would 100% support me. I'm not doing that, but very supportive. My mom you met my mom through, helping out with City League basketball. She was on the board all the time and helping out in every way. My dad, I don't want to be biased, just the best man I know. He will help anybody at any time. He just has a way of talking with people. He's very good with talking with people with different beliefs and everything. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about my dad. He's very supportive of me. He just retired, but he retired from his job. But he's not looking for just maybe a little side gig. But he comes to all of my games. He records the games for me. If I ask him, hey, can you go scout a team for me? He goes out and scouts and sends me like a 2-page yellow pad thing with all kinds of stats. He's amazing. And, he taught me a lot about sports, him and my pawpaw, how to be, good sportsmanship all the time. It's okay to be upset, but, always shake the other team's hands, always say, good game, always give credit where credit is due, always be humble. My dad was never really the one to, brag about me in front of my face. So, I never really, I never got big headed, and he was just all around great man. And he did a good job of, taking care of me and my sister and my mom, and he used to work a lot, but he'd work 12, 14-hour shifts. He would find a way to come to my high school games. He'd find a way to be at my junior high games. And I didn't, and sad to say, I didn't appreciate it until I got to high school, actually, until I got saved as a Christian, I didn't realize how much he had been sacrificing to, help me out and be able to do the things that I wanted to do. So,
Right.
two overall great people. And, honestly, I just want to make them happy. It makes me feel good whenever my dad, tells me, hey, son, I'm very proud of you for this, that. Same thing with my mom. And, my grandma actually told me that, my dad wanted to be a teacher, but, him and my mom got together. He needed the money. So he went and took a, job in construction, worked his way up. And my dad told me a lot when I was in college. He said, just find something that you're going to love to do. Don't be like me. Don't wake up every morning at 4 a.m. and just, hate your job. And that's something I've always, he said, if you find a job you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And man, I wake up every single day and I'm excited to come to school. I love being around the kids. And I love coaching, I love, staying after, some people are like, oh, I got to stay up to like 8 or 9 o'clock at night on a game day. I really don't mind it. I really don't. And I don't mind, watching film. I don't mind coming up with, lessons for classes and, things like that. So, my dad did a real good job of installing that quote, just love your job.
What I loved about your parents, and you mentioned your grandfather, and I remember seeing him in the stands, and what I loved about the family as a whole, and you carry the same thing, is that they can walk in a room and you could see their work ethic, type of people they were, without even having to have conversations with them. And like I said, you're being the evident of their hard work and stuff. So ironic though, we were talking, kind of bringing up the PYB, who was a former Ponchatoula Youth basketball biddy ball commissioner, Miss Judy Bergeron, who her son was on last week, Trevor, and said Danny's a great coach. And Miss Judy, like I said, she helped raise us and the rest, I think, half of Ponchatoula, and all the work that she did as commissioner and coming up through the years. And speaking of, here is your better half, Haley, and she made a comment, said she's so proud of you. Use that transition. Tell us about Haley and how, like I said, if I see your parents now, I see you and I see her. Tell us about how she fits into your life now.
Well, she is definitely in my life. Definitely in my life. We met at a wedding about 5 years ago. Went on a few dates. Didn't actually work out, and then we actually reconnected 3 years ago, and we've just hit it off. We get along great. We are polar opposites, I will say that, but we get along great. She's amazing. She's gonna hate me for this, but I have to tell this story. You're gonna love it. She didn't know much about basketball, but we started dating, and she comes to every game. She comes to every game, and she's very supportive with the boys. She doesn't just show up and sit in the crowd. She likes to get to know the boys and talk with them and have conversations with them. But I remember after one of the first basketball games she watched, we're on the way home, and she was like, "What is a good ball?" And I was like, "What? Do you know what a good ball is?" If somebody asked you, Coach, if someone said, "What do you know what a good ball is?" and I was like, I really didn't know. So I was like, "What do you mean a good ball?" And after about 10 minutes, she was like, when they're wrestling over the ball and the ref does this. I said, "Oh my God, a jump ball?" She was like, "Oh yeah, what's that mean?" So that was a funny story, but she has come a long way since then. Now, I can actually talk to her a little bit about basketball. We went and watched the girls play in the state championship. We went and watched a lot of boys basketball at the high school this year. And sometimes we're sitting there watching, and somebody will drive the lane. She's like, "Why didn't they take a charge?" And I was just like, "Okay, now you're getting it. Now you're getting it." So we're great. I mean, she is very supportive of everything I do. She actually painted our boys' locker room. Miss Crevetto was nice enough to say, "Hey, if you want a locker room, we have some space. All you gotta do is clean it out." So we cleaned it out and everything, and she did all of the painting. I mean, all of it, all the quotes, everything. She did everything. I tried to help. She got mad at me because I messed something up, and she said, "Just watch." And I said, "Okay, yeah, duly noted." And she painted everything, and it looked great. And it made me feel good because, junior high kids are very honest. And when we brought the boys in after practice to show them, they walked in and they all started screaming. They loved it. They were telling her, "Thank you, this, that, this, and that." And as you said, Corey Jackson and Reese Elsie and Q and all them, they came to a few games this year. And, Corey comes up to me. If you know Corey, speaks his mind too in a very polite way. He comes up and, "Coach Dunn, so you don't love us? I heard you and Miss Haley gave a locker room to the boys. So I showed them, and they were just like, no, this isn't fair. This is awesome. And
Right.
the locker room came out great, and that was all her. And
Well,
she's very
you can tell when she's in the gym how much she loves the boys, like you were saying, and how much she cares about them. She's not just sitting in the back, and that, and you could tell. Conversely, you can tell how much they love her, and not to say it like this, but a team mom type vibe where, like I said, she really wants to take care of them and make sure that they striving as people and student athletes and that sort of stuff. We also have another comment coming in here from Brandon Robertson. Said he loves y'all. Coach Dunn's the best. Future head coach PHS. I think Tom Taylor may have to fight you for that, but hopefully, if Tom ever decides to leave, we got a spot there for Coach Dunn to come in. But yeah, a great quote there from Brandon. You brought up y'all watching basketball. One of my things that I've always wanted to do, but recently, the Final Four for the NCAA was held here in New Orleans. You and Haley got to go. Tell us that story. What was that like? How was it to go see UNC in the Superdome, Final Four? Tell us the story.
Well, first, it all started with Haley's bracket. She made a bracket. First time she's ever made a college March Madness bracket. And it was about 340 something people signed up for this bracket with her and with her brother-in-law's people. And she was actually in first place all the way up to the Final Four. She picked the exact Final Four. She picked Duke. She picked Villanova. She picked Kansas. She picked North Carolina. She was in that 0.1% of brackets that picked the correct Final Four. So she was like, it would be great, if we went to the Final Four. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't have money for that. And she was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. So she got the tickets. She wanted to go.
It seems like a girl, when they pick the teams, that they pick the best colors or whatever they like the mascot, the best mascot, and they always send the one.
Yeah,
you got guys that have watched.
I'll give her credit
for their entire life.
Yeah, she picked that bracket in 11 minutes.
Right.
She picked three of those teams perfectly. I still say she picked North Carolina because that's my favorite team, but she'll argue with that, but I'll live with that. But she did pick all four correctly. We went to the Final Four, and it was a great experience. I got to meet Coach Roy Williams, which I was pumped about. She was pumped about. Wow. Even got to talk to him for about a minute or two. And then we had great seats for the Final Four game against Duke, and that was absolutely phenomenal to watch Duke versus North Carolina. You can scratch that off my bucket list. It was amazing,
right?
And it was awesome. And then we got to the championship game, and she even got better seats down basically on the court in the student section with North Carolina, and we had a blast until the second half. But it was awesome. Right. I will never forget that weekend. The experience was great. Everything. We met a good amount of people there, and it was awesome. I wouldn't trade it in for anything except maybe North Carolina playing better in the second half. I know Coach Taylor's happy. He's a huge Jayhawk fan.
Right. Well, we were going back and forth on text with some of the coaches, and he was throwing in Kansas and all his little sayings back and forth. But I think all of us as coaches, the fun thing is, of course, going to the NBA Finals is awesome, but the pureness of NCAA college and championship, that's what basketball really is.
That's where it's at.
You're purist, right? That's really exciting. Like I said, I wish I could have gone. Like I said, that was, I'm not tied in like y'all are, but like I said, it's exciting to be able to know that y'all got to go and experience that sort of thing. Tell us more about your basketball. How did you, coming up from being a kid, how did you get to the point playing and then deciding to go into coaching? How did that story go?
Well, like I said, my mom and dad, my papa, they wanted me to be, active in sports. So growing up, I played basketball, baseball, and football. Older I got, making all-stars for baseball and doing travel ball for basketball at AAU. And I was just around basketball so much, and I loved watching college basketball as a kid. I was 6 years old when I watched my first college basketball game on TV. It was North Carolina versus Duke, and I just saw how crazy Duke was, and I remember the broadcasters loved Duke, and I don't know, I just hated the fact that they talked about Duke so much. I was like, well, I'm gonna cheer
Right.
for North Carolina. Then I found out Michael Jordan went there, and I was like, well, that's my team.
There you go.
And so from age 6, I just watched a lot of basketball, a lot of college basketball. I loved it. Playing basketball, I played every role. In City League, I was, the guy and on my team in the league. And then playing AAU, I had to adjust. I had to be a 6th man or a 7th man. And, coming off the bench, I got to junior high. I was a starter, but I wasn't the main guy on the team. And,
Right.
I've played every role all the way up to high school. Same thing. I had my sophomore year, I had to sit the bench, cheer the varsity on. And then junior and senior year, I was a starter. So I kind of feel like I knew every role. And, I feel like I have a pretty decent basketball IQ from watching so much and paying attention at practice. I've also had good coaches. I had Coach John Derenbecker, who was a great coach. I had him coaching 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. The X's and O's, the things he knows was amazing. And I had Coach Easley my senior year, and he was great on the X's and O's, but he was a great motivational guy. Like he knew how to like light a fire in your butt and just go out there and ready to play. And actually in college, I was in criminal justice, and you have to take a lot of psychology and sociology classes.
Mm-hmm.
And after taking those classes, I felt like I had a good read on people. I felt like, I'm good with talking with people and things like that. And I decided to become a teacher and a coach, and those sociology, psychology classes helped out. And then me being around X's and O's and the motivational and being around basketball so much. I have a lot of friends that have high basketball IQs. The guys I played high school ball with, junior high ball with. We played a lot of ball with the Hammond High kids, St. Thomas kids, and they all had high, IQs. So, coaching it. I'm not going to say it's easy, but I enjoy it, and I feel like I have a good way of explaining things to the kids for them to understand it in a good way at practice. And I just think it's a gift that God gave me to be able to, explain and teach on the basketball court, and then teach and honestly coach in a classroom, because you kind of have to be a coach in a classroom and have like a disciplined class. So that's kind of where it came from. Basketball's been around my whole life. And,
and you sort of touched on it, but what a lot of people who aren't coaches or been in or teacher role, what you a lot of times don't realize is, okay, yes, I know whatever science, math, English, sports, whatever it is, it, but it's how do you relay that from your head to their head, and how can they absorb it? You may be passionate about it. They may not be. It's a little easier coaching because usually the kids want to be there. Teaching's a little different, but there's so much more. Probably half of it really is your day-to-day, how to deal with the personalities on the team, how to make sure they stay motivated, like you're saying. There's 1,000 other factors going on that, yes, you want them to worry about basketball or whatever that subject that you're teaching, but they've got so many outside factors, and it's wonderful that you touch on that, because that's really that I found as I get in those roles. You think you know the subject, but really it's more of the psychology and the sociology, like you're saying, of getting that across to those students or athletes. What are some things that you did early that you don't do now that you've learned, hey, this really didn't work, and now I have a better technique? Have you found that you've matured and things have changed as you've gotten older? How does that happen?
Let's see here. I know that yelling at everybody is not the answer.
Right.
Some players, some students do better whenever, you just talk to them, you tell them.
Right.
Now, vice versa. I don't care what anybody says. You can't sit there and pat every single student or every single player on the back. Like, some players don't respond to that. Some kids don't respond to that. For example, last year, Cody Alsniet and Corey Jackson. Cody Alsniet, if he messes up, or if, you just want him to do something, you tell him once, he'll do it.
That's right.
Corey Jackson, pretty much the same way, but sometimes you have to light a fire up Corey's butt. I remember last year we played Hammond Eastside, and Hammond Eastside had a really good point guard. He's on your team now, and at the high school, but it was Buddy's son. And for an entire week before we played Hammond Eastside, when I saw Corey Jackson in the hallway, or if I saw him, at practice, I didn't call him Corey. I called him Buddy, because I knew that would light a fire in his butt, because, Buddy was good. And I used to tell Corey, I was like, Buddy's the best player in this parish. Just want to let you know that. And I used to light a fire up Corey's butt.
Right.
And, I can do that with Corey. If I told that to Cody would just be like, okay.
Right. You can tell Cody to go count how many grains of salt are on the table over there. He's going to tell you
he's
what the number is.
He's going to do it. Yes. He's going to give you that exact number too.
Right.
So,
now, Corey, like you're saying, Corey, you got to go over and say, I bet you can't count how many grains of salt are on there. And Corey's going to prove you wrong because that driving competitive that he's got. So it's great that you say that. Tell us too, along these lines, you've sort of touched on who in your life, whether it be coaching, whether it be teaching, whether it just be life in general, besides your parents. I know you touched on your parents, your dad, and your grandfather. Where have you got inspiration and, who have you looked up to as you've gone older and coming along? What are some of those people that have really made some impact in your life?
First would probably, besides my papa and my parents, Coach John and Coach Easley, my two high school coaches. Coach John, and we touched on this earlier, to have a successful high school program, you have to have a good middle school. You have to have a good, city league, and you have to have all that. You can't just become a state contender in high school just right when you get to high school. And Coach John understood that. He got us together at a young age, and he, put us together and had us playing AAU ball, tough, competitive AAU ball. I know nowadays anybody can sign up for AAU. Back then, it wasn't as it is now. But what inspired me the most was I had friends who weren't fortunate enough to have a mom and dad or a pawpaw that were there for me. I had friends that, would walk to practice sometimes if, he didn't ask or anything. And I remember Coach John, because he was my neighbor, so sometimes I had to ride to practice with him and Matt. And I remember sometimes we go and we pick up some of these players, and then we'd have to bring them home. I realized a few times we'd go out to eat after AAU games, and, of course, my pawpaw and, or whoever was with me, they would pay for me. But sometimes I didn't know this, my pawpaw or Coach John, they would be, paying for some of these other kids whose parents didn't give them money. And I saw that, yes, that's a nice, gesture for them. But the impact that Coach John had on a lot of those kids is the reason why most of them are doing well in life right now. They're not, doing bad things. And I'm not going to say any names, but a lot of them are doing really well in life. And I think that a large part is from Coach John helping them out, and even Coach Easley helping them out. My senior year, we only had Coach Easley for about a year and a half, but the stuff he did, I will say one name. He did help out Mario Bells. Mario's on a bad route at one point. He wasn't on the basketball team, and Coach Easley stepped in, and we all helped Mario to get back on the team. That helped us out tremendously. Mario's doing great now. He's doing phenomenal.
Awesome.
And that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to help out a lot of these kids who aren't as fortunate, because not everybody has a mom and dad, not everybody has grandparents. Not a lot of people have money or advantages and things like that. But at the same time, that's still no excuse. Like I tell that to my students all the time. Like, you may not have the best upbringing, you may not have the best home life, you may not have the best, whatever, but that can't be an excuse. You still have to grind. You still have to work in the classroom, on the basketball court. You still got to work hard on the court. And that's just something that, maybe, I can save a life or two. Maybe these kids playing basketball for me for a year or two, and then come play for y'all at the high school, that may save a life, may keep them out of jail, may actually save their life. So, is it every kid? No, but if I have to change one life that way, that'd be great. And I know sports, because these kids look up to coaches. So that was my big motivation. I want to see these kids do great in sports, but after high school, if they invite me to their wedding and, we talk, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm actually the manager of this, big corporation, or, this, that, and that. I want them to be great husbands. I want them to be great fathers to their kids. And I want them to be able to support their kids. And I want them to be able to take their kids to practice. I don't want them to have to say, like, hey, you got practice? Oh, well, walk to it. I got to go to work, or, something like that.
Right. Well, it's funny, like you said, that I ran into a guy that you probably know, Larry Doty Jr., ran into him and at a work event, and he's now an adult, and he was telling me, he's like, I coached him at, I don't know, I was probably 20 years old, whatever it was. And he said how much he had learned, and you don't realize the impact you have until you run back into these people that you had met years and years ago. And that's what kind of motivated me again to get back into coaching. I'm sure you're still young in your career, and that you'll start to see those more and more. And it's funny you bring up John Derenbecker and those guys, and we talk about the program of Ponchatoula and this kind of stuff. I ran into him the other day, but you'll remember Mr. Eddie Fisher. Eddie Fisher, Judy Bergeron, John Derenbeckers of the world. Those are the ones, when we look back 10, 20 years ago, that Ponchatoula Girls High School just won the state championship. Those are the ones that planted the seeds, the AAU, the extra work, the time that's put in. Absolutely. That is now maturing to what we have of this program that is going through today and the output that's coming out of it. And those are the individuals that I know me personally taught me a lot on being an adult and what to do and how to do. And it's not your parents and all these other people that I sat on the boards with going up through Ponchatoula youth basketball. That's starting to mold us as a community and giving us what we're having today. So it's great that you brought those individuals up and the excitement that we've had. You brought on too, just not to pass over it, but tell us what you thought about the girls' state basketball tournament, how exciting that was. I was there in the stands as well, but tell us about that game, how you felt about it.
It was great. I mean, there's really no words to describe it. I can't. After what happened last year, it's easy to kind of just fold and just be kind of like, all right, we're expected to, make it to the, top 28 again or whatever. But, Coach Trish and that coaching staff, they really, got those players motivated, even though I think they were also motivated themselves, the players. Right. But, it was amazing for them to, the way they lost last year and then bounce back this year. I think that's phenomenal. I love seeing, bounce backs, because it's going to happen in life. You're going to fail. It sucks, but that's where your best success stories come from, is from failing. And man, this year was great to see them, win the state championship. It was great to see the Southeastern, the arena filled with Ponchatoula people. That's what it should be. We got me and Coach Michael were talking about this a couple months ago. This small little town, those football games should be packed every Friday night. Basketball season, Friday night home games should be packed, boys and girls. Same thing for baseball, soccer. That's what a small town is. Right. And man, Coach Trish did an amazing job. Just the way. Her strategy, we're gonna play vanilla defense the first time we play them, and then the second time we're gonna hit them with that diamond in one, the triangle in two. Like, I loved it. It was phenomenal, because I know they came into that game, Parkway. I know they came into that game confident, and that's something. Oh yeah. They weren't humble, they weren't confident, and that's just the perfect way to knock a team down off their high horse. And shout out to Coach Trish and them, but the girls played phenomenal. I think it's the Jackson girl. Oh man, she played great in the first half, and of course Jaylee Womack. She came through strong in that fourth quarter and in overtime. I mean, she really did. Right. So I love their chemistry.
Right. Well, the exciting thing that you look at is that we talk about the program and the kids. Coach Trish Landash is another example of the coaches and the time and the community and what we've put in to get to where we are now. But I'm around the baseball program too a little bit. I see the girls basketball team and the girls volleyball team around our basketball guys, and the players themselves, not necessarily the athlete, but the person. They're wonderful kids. They're wonderful students, young adults, and it's exciting. And again, it's a product of the Simone Ingrams of the world and the Brett Chatelaines and the Coach Michaels and the Coach Dunns that bring these kids up and they get to where they are today. And it's exciting to see that how great of a team they are. And when you're on the sideline and you look at the players and they're playing hard and they do the things that we as coaches like to see, the high-fiving the other players, hey, good game, keeping your heads up. They don't play, like we say, dirty, but they rise to the occasion as both people, but as also as players. And like I said, it's funny too, as coaches in basketball, we see the X and O's, and that coming up, we talk about just in basketball. Jaylee, I would see the girls' game. She didn't get face guarded till like the second or third game before the state finals. So everybody's like, how is she gonna come and how is she gonna play? And she stepped up. And then, like you're saying, the rest of the team steps up when she gets face guarded and gets manned up. And so to see those games and see those plays, and you look at the coaching staff and how well the coaches are, a lot of people don't realize if you watch the game film, Jaylee isn't the one bringing the ball down. You and I and the Coach Taylor's of the world, we all see these kind of things. She's offset on the other side, and they want to run a wonderful game plan. And like I said, to see those kids and get the outcome as a program to make state championships, and it's a product of what we have in our community, and it's exciting to see. Tell me also, just because I don't want to be remiss if I didn't say this. Now, we're a product of Ponchatoula. This year, this weekend, 50th anniversary of the Strawberry Fest. Tell me some memories about growing up in Ponchatoula and the Strawberry Fest, and where does that done for you growing up in Ponchatoula?
I remember when the Strawberry Festival was, you didn't have to wait 45 minutes in line to ride a ride.
Right, that's right.
It's getting bigger and bigger every year. As a kid, I loved it, but honestly, from 6th grade all the way through probably my junior year of high school, I didn't get to go to Strawberry Festival because that was when AAU basketball was going on.
Right.
And then after that, when I joined my fraternity in college, Kappa Sigma, we had a booth at the Strawberry Festival, and we raised a lot of money out there. But it's good to see that, every year it's getting bigger and bigger, because I know that brings more money to the town and everything. So it's always good to see that. And it's, supporting the local businesses and everything. So that's always a good thing to bring in that money. I'm glad it's back. I don't expect it to be like super packed like it was right before COVID, but I do expect it to be really packed. It's supposed to be a pretty weekend. So I think everybody's going to benefit a lot of money from it and everything, which is always a great thing, because you need money to be able to do things. And so it's exciting. I'm excited for it to be back, and I'm excited to see my fraternity at their booth, and then I'll be working at the junior high booth as well. And so it'll be a fun weekend. I know everybody's looking forward to it.
Junior high is what? Funnel cakes? Is that right? Y'all still do that?
Funnel
What
cakes.
do y'all?
Yeah.
Funnel cakes. Good old funnel
Everybody
cakes.
loves funnel cakes.
So those who aren't products of Ponchatoula and don't know this, the main fairgrounds at what we call Memorial Park, the main fairgrounds and a little bit just outside of it, those core groups have to be a nonprofit organization. So that's the ones that we really promote, and we try to say, hey, if you want a funnel cake, go visit those nonprofits, because it's such a big deal for the junior highs and the high schools and the fraternities of the world, that how much money is supported and goes through. We're a small town, and it really goes back into the community for your gyms and your all your locker rooms and all those kind of things. That's kind of where some of this money comes from as a community. So just to promote our Strawberry Fest and our 50th anniversary. So if you're not from Ponchatoula, please feel free to go see Coach Dunn over at the funnel cake booth.
They got fried Oreos. Everybody loves fried Oreos. They fry everything at the Strawberry Festival.
That's right. One year at my fraternity, we always had the onion mums. One year we had
y'all did.
That had crawfish, that had the fried onion Oreos and the fried Snickers. Yeah. And in fact, that's the first time I ever had it. And we trade them onion mums, and they
trade. Yeah, you trade it all the time.
So it was fun. It was fun. It's funny that we touched though on nonprofits and that kind of stuff and what they do in the community. You've got a big heart and have been blessed to be part of a congregation in town, and and I've seen you growing up, how much the church has meant to you and what it's done to you as a man. Tell us about your faith and how you got to where you are in the church. Give us a little background on that, because I know it means a lot to you.
Yeah. Funny story. I actually got saved at LSU versus Florida in 2007. When LSU
Tim Tebow?
Yeah, when Tim Tebow, I said a prayer right before the fourth quarter. LSU was losing 24-14. I said, God, if we can beat Tim Tebow, I swear I won't go to sleep in church. I won't lie to my dad about skipping church. I promise I'll be at church tomorrow morning. Sure enough, they won, and next morning I was at church, and I just
Tim Tebow saving the world through God, even by losing to LSU.
No, right? Even losing, but yeah, so I did that. That's when I became a Christian. And then I started having some chest issues going in my senior year of high school basketball, some a little bit of heart trouble, and I was passing out a lot, having a lot of chest pains. And I'm not going to get into that, but basically I prayed that, I wanted to play my senior year. I didn't want to have any complications. I wanted to play my senior year. If that meant not playing college ball, I was okay with that. I just didn't want to miss my senior year of high school, especially playing with Javion and Snooki and Mario, Jonathan, Tim, Byron, and all of them. So I made a prayer about it, and I was blessed to be able to play. And I remember I said, I'm going to be more of an outspoken Christian. I said that in my prayer. I said, I won't just be that, kind of behind the scenes Christian. And so I did that, and I go to the mission now over in Ponchatoula with the big cross. And I just do my best all the time to live right. Now, I have fallen off. We all fall off at times.
Right.
And, there's been, we've all had trial and tribulations, and I've fallen off once or twice. And, but having good pastors and having good friends and everything, to get you back on track is always a good thing. And I go to the mission. Pastor Scott Boney is the pastor over there, and he great man, great pastor. He relates to the crowd really, really well. I tell my friends all the time, like, if you want to come to church, you can come in shorts, you can come in a hat, you can come in a hoodie. Right. They're not going to judge you. You can come, and he's a good speaker. He can relate to you. He's not just up there, and he's phenomenal. So I try, and I know I'm not supposed to do it at school and everything, so I try my best, not to speak too much about Christianity and everything. But I tell my players sometimes, I tell them all the time, how I thank God all the time that y'all came in my life, and that I get to coach y'all and everything. I thank God all the time for this wonderful school that I get to work at Ponchatoula Junior High, because it's awesome. And Ms. Corvetto is great. Dr. Grove's great since she's been on a sabbatical. All the teachers here at Ponchatoula Junior High are great. They're very supportive, not just at school. Like I said, with the basketball program, they've been coming to – they came to a lot of games this year, which I'm happy to see. And, the players are happy to see that. They love to see, when their teachers are in the crowd. And, it's great to see 10, 11, 12, 13 teachers in the crowd coming to watch the games. But I have strong faith. Thank God all the time for my job. I thank him for my parents. And I try to live my life, best through him. I thank him all the time for my girlfriend and her family, because they have been great to me. They've been wonderful. Blessed me with a great girl in my life. So I wish there was more words I could describe how great he is and how great he's done for me. But, there's really nothing you can describe how great God's will is on everybody.
Well, I'll say too, I grew up, my grandpa was a Methodist preacher, and I grew up in the church. You touched on your outward faith. You can see how much it means to you without you really even saying anything. So what you're doing, you're doing it right. So don't,
thank you.
Like I said, you could tell that it means a lot to you, and you can portray it. Like I said, as teachers, you're not supposed to really say anything, but you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? So it means a lot to you, and like I said, you can tell how much it's affected your life. Let's touch on it too, because I don't want to be remiss in it either. Mary Beth Corvetto, Dr. Gross, the crew at Ponchatoula Junior High. I went by there, and I know a lot of the teachers and some of the administration there. Tell us about your day-to-day there and how much that does for the community, and you being a teacher and the students. Tell us a little bit about your day-to-day time at Ponchatoula Junior High.
Well, I teach 7th grade science, and like I said, I wake up every day. I'm excited to come to work. Like I said, I have in the hallway right over here. It's kind of like a pod. We got 4 teachers. It's me, Miss Ingram, Miss Mater, Miss Blosh, and we all get along really great. But day to day, the kids come to class. For the most part, they seem excited to come to my class, and they come in, we do the lesson. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not. I told them at the beginning of the year, some days you're gonna have boring days in here, some days you're gonna have fun days in here. That's life. Not every day's fun, not every day's boring. But it's a lot of fun here. Everyone's very supportive of everything here. Coach Chatelaine helps me out with all my coaching stuff. Like, he's the one that tells me, hey, you gotta have these paperwork done. Here you go. What can I do to help you? He's very supportive on that. Makes my job a lot easier. He helps me out. All the teachers here, because this is my 4th year, the teachers here are very supportive and helpful. Alone between Miss Mater and Miss Ingram, they make sure that, I'm on top of everything, and they help me out a lot. Same thing on the 2nd floor with the math teachers, Miss Kluka, Miss Acosta, Miss Parkin. They do a great job. The 3rd floor, the English floor, they, same thing. Any way they can help me out, they help me out. It's great here. It's almost pretty much like a family. Everybody looks out for one another. Miss Corvetto is great. She's on sabbatical right now, and Dr. Gross stepped in. I think Dr. Gross done a great job. She was one we used to talk, and she's like, I don't really know too much about basketball, blah, blah, blah. She has been, since Miss Corvetto went on sabbatical, Dr. Gross came to every home game. and she's been there. She's been supportive, and Miss Crevetto comes to the games as well. So Miss Crevetto, when she's there, she's there. She's the loudest one in there.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
She's in there. So
Right.
it's great. I love my job. I love all the teachers that work here. They're very supportive. They help me out whenever I need help. I was selling pregame tickets for 2 of the games this year, and I asked one of the teachers, hey, can you come watch my class? Miss Haste right away. I was like, yes, absolutely. I'll come watch your class. So she came in and sat and watched my classroom, and I don't know. It's hard to describe, but other than it's great here.
Right.
Everyone supports each other. Sometimes teachers have bad days, just like the kids do, and teachers do a good job of supporting each other, helping each other out. Hey, you need something, I'll watch your class. Go take care of whatever you got to take care of, and things like that. So it's great from in the classroom, in the sports setting. Like I said, Coach Chatelaine does a great job of keeping everybody together and helping everybody out in the sports world. Coach Covington for girls, she does a good job. Me and her get along great, and there's no competition there or anything like that. We're there to help each other out in any type of way with everything. So I have no complaints over here. I love it here.
Right. Well, you talk about Ms. Crevetto. Like I said, she was a former guest here on Ponchatoula Live, one of the originals. But Coach Chatelaine and Dr. Gross, I've been around her, and like I said, her knowledge of, you can tell her and any of the teachers and administration in most of our schools in Ponchatoula, but especially at the junior high, you can tell their love for knowledge to the students, how much they love the students. They want to do it the right way. They want to portray the knowledge and continue that and make sure our students are doing the things as a person, but also learning as a student or a student athlete.
Right.
I've been very impressed with all of them. Every time that I've been around any of them, Tracy over there, like I said, any of the crew that's been around there and I've been around, they've all been wonderful. It's funny you talked to about, and I thought about this the other day late at night. It's funny you talk about Miss Crevetto. When I was refereeing, of course, her son Greg, who now is teaching himself, and product of the school system, whose dad is also part of the school system, teaching the whole 9 yards. But when Greg was playing, she was the loudest, and a lot of times at the junior high, and you heard, "Oh, my baby, that's my baby." And so I was.
We were on the same team in 8th grade, and man, it was great not having her yelling at me, because normally I was on the other team and she'd be yelling, he traveled, foul. So it was great to have her son on my team that year. I love Greg, so I was so happy we were on the same team.
She's that same way with her students, and that's the thing you can tell the love. Yeah. She does that for her actual blood child, but she does the same thing for the students, and that's the great thing about it.
Can't tell you how many times she yelled at Corey Jackson last year. Oh my God! In the hallway, great game, Corey. Way to miss 2 free throws, though. Things like that.
That's right. Well, and it's funny too. So I want to touch on this because this is kind of also the thing I was thinking about. I showed some friends of mine, some students the other day. I graduated Ponchatoula Junior High. And my 8th grade year, Ponchatoula Junior High, and for those who aren't from Ponchatoula, was the former Ponchatoula High School many, many years ago. What I call the school building that I was in burned down, and I guess that was 1993-ish. So whatever, that going on almost 30 years now. And it got the Ponchatoula Junior High, the main building did not burn. It was a separate building, and now has been renovated, which is where y'all are at now. It's still the junior high, but it's in the front building. Right. The gym was not affected at the time, but when I was there a few years prior, and to tie in Parker Larison, our main co-host, the film, The Life of the Pistol Pete Maravich story was filmed in that gym. And so when I played, they actually still had the lion on the side. We had the pirate on the court, but on the wall still had the lion, and it had, and we called them angel walks, but had the catwalks that went around that. In the movie, he runs around, and we had to do that at basketball. But Parker's dad, former Sheriff Eddie Larison, was a actor referee in that movie. But there's so much. Yeah, he's in the movie, and you'll have to watch it. In fact, I think he's the one that's, if you remember the movie where they say no basket, the pistol hits the shot. I think that was his dad, if I remember. That's Mr.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but it was in that gym where you are now. Again, it's been renovated, but it's still the gym, and you can feel history there. And you feel history when you walk through the halls of Ponchatoula High School, the former Ponchatoula High School, which is now the junior high. How does it feel to be part of that and be in that building and that facility every day and get to see it? Like I said, it's older, but you can feel it's nice and there's history there. What is that like being on that side of it?
Oh, it's pretty cool. Like I said, it's awesome to coach in the gym where they shot the movie The Pistol. That is amazing. Sadly, most of the kids don't know who Pistol Pete is. They know who Steph Curry is and James Harden is and everything about them, but they don't know Pistol Pete. But
Right.
It's pretty cool to go through that gym and knowing the history there, and then coming through the school and knowing the history there. It's awesome. And you're right, you do get to feel it, and
Right.
it makes you feel better because I went to school here and you went to school here, so like it's pretty cool to know like. I'm teaching here and I went to school here, so it's awesome.
Right. And it's funny you talk about the pistol too. It's like we say Pistol Pete, and you always hear that, but a lot of kids don't know Pistol Pete Maravich. And then you say, well, you've heard of the Maravich Assembly Center, which is where LSU plays. That's named after Pistol Pete, and he is the all-time leading scorer for NCAA basketball prior to the three-point line being around. Wait, what? Huh? And you have to explain the whole thing. And he averaged, I think it was like 36 points a game over 3 years with no three-point line, which is
they think
crazy.
Steph Curry and James Harden holds every record accountable and possible.
That's right. So we're coming towards the end of our show here, and we said we'd try to keep you within an hour. Is there anything else you want to touch on that we didn't get to touch on today? Is there anything you wanted to touch on at all?
Oh man, I don't know. We covered a lot.
Right.
We covered a whole lot. Right. I was just thankful y'all had me on the show and be able to talk a little bit about teaching in basketball. Lately the last 4 years, that's been most of my life, and and it's been a heck of a ride. I've enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll keep it going here. Maybe down the line, be at the high school.
Absolutely.
I'd love to come help out with Coach Taylor and y'all on the staff. Down the road. I respect Coach Taylor a lot. He's done a good job with that basketball program.
Right.
The playoffs the last 3 or 4 years, and this year y'all came down to the wire with Southside. Could have been anybody's game at the end of that game. So, I got nothing else to talk about really.
Before we get off, we asked some of our guests here. If you had to explain our community in the city of Ponchatoula to somebody who's never been here, how would you explain Ponchatoula to them and our community and what it's like living and growing up in Ponchatoula?
We are known for the Strawberry Festival, and we have the best tasting strawberries.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. To explain it to somebody, small town, but not super small. We got one of everything just about. It's a perfect location. You're 45 minutes from New Orleans, 45 minutes from Baton Rouge. I love that. If you like being somewhere where everybody knows you and you can talk to everybody, this is a great spot. If you're somebody that doesn't you don't want people to know about you, you want to be quiet, silent, move about your day, don't come here because everybody knows
that's right.
This part. But that it's a fun town, and this year, and I don't want to keep going back to sports, but it's just been a good example lately. With the football team and the success they had this year, Coach Hank and everything, going to the Dome, and Coach Trish and the girls with basketball, going to the state championship as well. It's great to see the whole town come together and support and cheer. It's a beautiful thing, and the parade even for the girls after that was awesome. And when everybody in the town, comes out and supports, it's a great thing. It's a good feeling. Whether it's at Strawberry Festival, whether it's for the St. Joseph Fair, whether it's a sporting event, it's good to see everybody and everybody getting along and everything. So, I love the town. They got, I went to school with people who didn't like it, and then of course they moved away or whatever. But most of them come back. But I like the town. I like everything about it, just about. So. I have no complaints. I tell everybody, it's a great town. I think it still has a lot of potential. I feel like there's a lot of potential.
It's funny you say too. Like I tell the generation now that is in high school and around the high school age that growing up, we're kind of now sort of known more as a powerhouse athletic. Like it's super uncommon to be able to go to state finals. And to be able to say that the football team and then the girls win and then, good success in boys basketball and baseball has been pretty good. The bowling team's almost been to the finals this year.
Yeah, I saw that. Softball team's rolling.
It's so common to them now, but growing up, they don't realize how unique it is and hard it is to get to these programs, that it's exciting that as a town we can do that. Like I said, those that aren't from here, like I said, this weekend will be the 50th anniversary of our Strawberry Festival. I think our town on average, say 10,000 people, and we're supposed to have somewhere between 250, 300,000 people over the course of the weekend. Please come visit Ponchatoula. But Danny, like I said, I'm proud to know you and proud to see you grow up. And I say all that, and I think of us as peers. You say yes, sir, all the time, but I think it's more as peers than anything of me being an older generation.
Dad would whoop my butt if I didn't say
I know.
Yes,
But I'm proud to say I know you. I'm proud of the program you have put together at Ponchatoula Junior High, and the teaching, your faith, your family, the way you carry yourself. Like I said, be proud of what you have done and you've accomplished. We're proud to have you as being part of our basketball program in the community and, of course, our education system. And we're glad that you could join us today. And thank you so much for coming. And, again, is there anything you'd just like to say on the way out?
Oh, yes, sir. I appreciate everything you just said. It really does. It means a lot. And thank y'all for having me. I never thought I'd be on this show. So I was super excited when you called and texted me about it. I was like, yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to do it. So anytime y'all need me to help out with anything, I'm more than welcome to come help out with anything. So thank y'all again. No problem. And again, congratulations on the success of your program, the team that you have, your coaching staff, those other teachers and staff that surround you. Be proud of where y'all are in the back-to-back parish championships. Again, Danny Dunn, Coach Danny Dunn, Ponchatoula Junior High head coach, boys basketball program. Thank you for having us today. Thank y'all for everybody for joining us, and tune in next week. And again, 50th anniversary Strawberry Fest. Y'all come out to Ponchatoula, Louisiana. Y'all have a good afternoon. Oreos. That's right.